Tom Hardy Hulk symbiote cannibal buddy comedy? But let's start with the real reason we see these movies: keeping the theater ushers late by obsessing over the post-credit scenes. Venom had 2 scenes that played after the movie, and in this video I'm gonna break down both of them and explain some interesting details that you might have overlooked. And in case you haven't seen Venom yet, huge spoiler warning, go watch this movie. Okay, let's start with the first post-credit scene. Eddie Brock continues with his life as America's only cool journalist. Don't let Vice News fool you, journalists are nerds. But now Eddie has a buddy joining him on his quest to win the Pulitzer for sexiest man alive, I guess. The Venom symbiote. Eddie rolls up to San Quentin prison, telling Venom this is a me thing, not a we thing. And the prison guard says that the inmate Eddie's visiting requested Eddie to interview him. And Eddie says the FBI probably just wanted this inmate to help identify bodies. And then we meet this prisoner who's in deep lockup, whom the guard calls Red. Yes, this is Cletus Cassidy, played by Woody Harrelson. Cassidy becomes the Carnage symbiote, an offspring of the Venom symbiote. In the comics, Eddie Brock shares a prison cell with Cassidy, a man who is already a sadistic serial killer at this point in his life. He killed his grandmother, he burned down his orphanage, he tortured a dog with a drill. Yeah, I'm done with this guy. Eddie's symbiote passes on to Cassidy, who, upon getting out of prison, takes on the offspring of Carnage, and he goes on a savage killing spree that makes Venom look like a Boy Scout, or just a typical nerdy journalist. We already see glimpses of that violence here, where Cassidy has smeared what looks like blood on the cell walls, writing, "Welcome, Eddie." Woody, wearing the same curly red hair that Cassidy does in the comics, asks to forego the typical serial killer quotes, for example, the Dadaist patterns of arterial spray, mocking the way some pop culture serial killers see blood spatter as art. Looking at you, Dexter. And clearly not wanting to hit the nail too on the head, Cletus Cassidy promises that when he gets out of prison, there's gonna be carnage. Yeah, part of me was hoping he was gonna say, when I get out of here, there's gonna be Dr. Octopus. Clearly, Sony is using this post-credit scene to set up a sequel, in which the Venom symbiote fights the Carnage symbiote, which, to do it justice, would probably need to be R-rated. And honestly, it's really the kind of story I wanted this Venom movie to be. But the question is this the moment in which Cassidy acquires the symbiote offspring from Eddie Brock? Does some of Cassidy's blood drip off that nice welcome sign onto Eddie and somehow fuse with his symbiote and then split off into Carnage? Maybe this encounter between Brock and Cassidy is just the first of a series of interview sessions, one of which will later feature the famous fluid swap. Ugh, yuck. It's also interesting that Cassidy requested Brock specifically, so I think we can assume he knows about Eddie's symbiote and he has some plan to get his own inner ink Hulk. The reveal of Carnage was the big moment Venom fans were hoping to see, but interestingly, I think the second post-credit scene got me more excited for the future of the Sony Spider-Verse. An exclusive clip from the upcoming animated movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I'll get to my breakdown of that in just a second, but first I want to tell you about how this channel is expanding to a new platform where you can watch us do our thing in the best possible format. It's called Scener. For the first time ever, you'll be able to watch something with New Rockstars while we break it down. Scener is a Chrome extension. When you stream content on your computer, it lets you open up real-time video commentary, so we can point out all the interesting details that you missed as they come up in the movie or TV show that you're watching. That way, we're watching along with you. And Scener is something that you can participate in too. Scener lets you give your take on the shows and movies you love to watch by syncing your reaction videos alongside what you're watching in the same browser. With Scener, you can create, share, and watch video commentary synchronized with streaming shows, movies, and clips from Netflix, Hulu, and YouTube. Just go to scener.com/newrockstars on your desktop computer to watch with us. Actually, on our New Rockstars channel, you can watch my commentaries on Black Panther and Doctor Strange, and there's lots of other stuff there too. Scener, it's time to make a scene. Check it out. Okay, let's take a look at that second post-credit scene, the exclusive clip for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is an animated movie coming out in December following Miles Morales, a kid from Brooklyn who takes over the Spider-Man name in the Ultimate Comics. Just in case you're not familiar, there are multiple iterations of Spider-Man throughout the Marvel Comics. It's a broad universe called the Spider-Verse. Actually, this movie just released a big trailer, so go check out my breakdown of all the Easter eggs in that. But this clip is new. It opens with the words, "Meanwhile, in another universe," and we see Spider-Man Miles Morales, voiced by Shameik Moore, running from a villain called the Prowler, who is actually his Uncle Aaron Davis. Donald Glover played Aaron Davis in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Spider-Man Homecoming. Here, he's voiced by Mahershala Ali. Miles narrowly escapes, and he visits a snowy cemetery, and he looks over the grave of Peter Parker. So here's the deal. In these comics, Miles takes over Spider-Man after Peter Parker dies. Miles says, "I'm sorry, Mr. Parker, I wanted to do what you asked, I really do, but I can't do this without you." Perhaps referring to some kind of dying wish from Peter Parker for Miles to take over this legacy. But then, Peter Parker actually shows up beside Miles. Are you confused? Well, that's kind of what this movie's all about. Marvel bad guy Wilson Fisk, Kingpin, uses a Hadron Collider to open up some kind of wormhole that causes several Spider-Man universes to merge. So this is a Peter Parker from his normal universe where he hasn't died, and apparently he becomes homeless. By the way, this movie will also feature Spider-Gwen, where Gwen Stacy becomes a Spider-Woman in a reality where Peter Parker becomes the Lizard. There's also Spider-Man Noir, voiced by Nick Cage, where Spider-Man is a darker noir-style vigilante. Penny Parker, an anime Spider spin-off who pilots a SP/DR mech robot. And Spider-Ham, voiced by John Mulaney, a spider that was bitten by a radioactive pig and becomes a pig with Spider-Man powers. Like,